Uh, yeah, we can start. So team, thank you for coming. Yeah, I was looking forward that people from the previous session will join as well. Just to introduce people who are new, we are learning this AI learning series for 6 weeks. Okay, it will be 90 minutes to our session. So this is the second week that we are doing. Um, my name is Sher Shahan, the first one, Cloud Solution Architect, Data and AI, and I have Fatma with me as well. Uh, yeah. So we covered already week one, in which I covered embeddings and vector search, the advantages of that. I'll just do a little bit of recap for people who are new, and just to so this is the whole series. Okay, if you are planning to attend all six sessions, we have already covered the intro and the embeddings. Today, the second session, we will cover prompt engineering, OpenAI, a few things on the embedding as well, which was left in last session. And then we will go to the next series, which is building an AI applications end-to-end architecture. The fourth one will be very important if you want to build the whole architecture from end to end. So I would really encourage that you attend all the series at least till the fourth. And then the other one is the deployment. Like if you want to understand how to deploy the code as infrastructure as a code and understand more advanced topic, that will be in this one. So just to summarize what we covered last time, okay, I'll go quickly just to make sure that everyone is on the same page. This is week two. Okay. We covered about like the generic definitions, okay, and then I introduced some concept. So I explained like why we had like customer adopt technologies, and then the main thing was these vectors. Okay, what are vectors? I started from the mathematical background, like which you would have done in calculus in your universities or high school, and then I just explained, like for example, the formulas. I explained the use cases which embedding can solve, and then we captured generically like the main concepts. Okay, the main concepts for OpenAI, we covered the model. Okay, the model I explained that we focus mainly on the embeddings, but there are other models, which is the large language models, which we'll cover here as well. And then we explain the concept of token, which is the unit of measure. Okay, the unit of measure or the unit of performance, how quickly the model will respond or how you will be charged. That is the concept of token. Then we spend a lot of time on the embeddings part, and I explain the technology where we can use it. Okay, so again, there was embedding is just dimensionality reduction. If you want to do some similarity search, you can do that. Okay. So then I explain a demo. We use a lot of databases. These were the four databases that I covered previously. And we did a demo on PostgreSQL and Cosmos DB, Mongo DB part. Okay. Today I'll cover one of the most important vector database as well, or the one which is AI search. I'll spend a little bit of more time. It will be like the concept will be remain the same, but I'll explain like a new tool to you, and you will understand that like why I'm introducing it. Okay. It will be the same, but just to iterate what we yes. I have the thing, but sometimes it doesn't work. Okay, so we explained, okay, that you have data. Okay, you have data and you want to create from text, images, videos, and everything. You want to give it to a function, which in this case is embedding model. Embedding model is just a normal function. Okay, it takes this data and it transforms it and just gives you a vector output. A vector output will be a dimension of 1536, if you remember from last session. And we say that we cannot store this all the time in memory. So we need some vector database. That's what the concept we did, and we just stored that in two databases. The third one I'll cover that today. Okay, and then the lower part we will cover in the session after a while. So if I go to the next, yeah. So AI search, what I'm introducing, okay, it is again considered as a vector database, but it's a bit more than that. So I'll explain what this is about. I can just go to the next slide, or I'll just stand here. Maybe it will be better. Sorry. Yeah. So if you have seen any website, right? Any website, if you go to any website, there will be always some search experience. Okay. The search experience usually, if you have heard about Elasticsearch or Lucene-based search, is that technology. Okay, it's based on Lucene technology, but it's Microsoft technology, which we call initially the name was cognitive search. Afterward, we changed it to AI search because there's a lot of AI things in here. If you look into this site, okay, consider this as a job application website. Okay, you have some text which you want to search. You just say that, for example, search me the jobs near my location as an example. Okay, that's called a geospatial query. So these kind of search engines make it easy for you to retrieve the information. Okay, on the left side you will always see some kind of faceting. Okay, like for example, if you see the location, that there is internal or external, you have some other domains, for example, which type of domains you need. So this is the AI search which can provide you information accordingly. Okay, any questions till now? Okay, so just it provide automatically like the paging, the ranking, the auto completion, the spelling correction. If you like change the synonyms, everything will be covered in this kind of listening based search. Now, the reason why I'm introducing it, okay, that we started with vectors, but we have gone to a text-based kind of technology. Okay, usually the use cases are websites, e-commerce, any searching experience which you retrieve, you give a text, okay, or any website. If you go anywhere, you search always for something, okay. But the search is now going a bit more than that. You don't look for keywords, you look at actually for a context. So if you ask, what is show me a red dress, rather than red dress, you just say show me a red dress for this kind of occasions. Okay, so you have like a context now in the search rather than a particular word. So the traditional searching engine cannot do this. Okay, you have to combine it with vectors. So in here, I'm explaining initially like the full text-based search, what we initially started with, okay, which you might have already been familiar with. It was key-based, keyword-based search. You would just give a keyword and it will search it accordingly. It doesn't know the context. Okay. Nowadays, the full-based text search are also getting advanced, and it can do some context-based. But traditionally, these are the main things which can cover, which full-based text can cover. Okay. For the vector search, okay, if you see the second column, then I introduce something else. It can cover multi-language, okay, or multi-model, like text, images, videos, and everything. Because we are taking one, we are not looking for text or images or anything like that. We convert it to a vector, and the vector will automatically understand what you are searching for. So if there is an image, you convert it to vector, and you are giving another image, and you want to see which are the closest images to that, that will be easy to do it in vector rather than in text-based search. Okay, and then you are looking for something which can combine the both words together, and that's why I'm introducing the AI search, because a pure vector database will just give you this part. So if your use cases are related to just semantic similarities or multi-model or multi-language, you can use the vector database. If you are using a full-based text search, you can use the AI search or Lucene-based search. But if you are looking for something which can combine both together, then you need something which is a hybrid search. And that is why I'm giving you the AI search, because it's a vector database and a text-based search, so you can combine both algorithms together. Okay. Any questions till now? Did I you can connect the previous lesson to this one? Whoever was here, yeah.
Can we replace this with Redis cache as a container?
Yeah. So a very good question. Redis cache will only cover these three parts. Okay. You can do, Redis has a lot of other functionality because it can do full-based text search as well. Okay, it can do it, but it requires the enterprise edition. Okay, and so there are some limitations, but a lot of time, if you do it, the vectorization, the AI search, the OCR is built into the service rather than using other functions that, okay, if you have images, you have to do another function to extract that images out. If you are doing a CR, you have to do that function again. So you will just use Redis as a database. It will not have anything else. Okay, it can give you like the full text-based search and similarities for different modules, but you have to still do functions. With AI search, there is a lot of algorithms which is built in here. So just with the clicking, you can do everything together. Okay. There are a few seats here. Okay. So what I'll do now, okay, I'll go straight into a demo, okay, and we will discuss this. Okay. What we will do, I'll show some code. Okay, people who are not very good with code, I'll show them a code, but the code is self-explanatory. I'll explain step by step, and then we will do with visual stuff as well. We'll take some files. Okay, this will be like a documentation file. I'll take that file, I'll clean it, I'll chunk it. Okay, chunk. If you remember from last concept, I said that you cannot give a very large document to embed all the time. There is always a token limit. Okay, the token concept that I introduced, that there is a token limit of 8,000 characters, that you cannot exceed that. Okay, so we have to do chunking to make sure that documents are reasonable size, and then we convert it to vectors. Okay, so that is the first thing I'll do, and then we will introduce the other part in the later half. But I'll first show that example. Okay. So this is, if you want to, if you are new to Azure, okay, and you want to play with it, okay, you can go with your any account, sign up for free. $300 will be available to you, and you can spin up the services on your own. The way I'm doing it is, for example, if you search for AI search, okay, this is the service that I'm talking about. You just create it, okay, and it will ask you some parameters. Parameters means if you are across Azure, just consider that this is something that you provide a folder where it's created, a name. So I'll just say share 1, 2, 3, 4. You give the region, for example, where you want to deploy. I'll just consider this region central. And then it will ask you how much, which SKU you want to do. Based on your use case, okay, if you are just learning it, you can just go with the free trial, okay, the free version. If you want to use it for use case based on the size of the document and things like that, it will charge accordingly, okay. But consider you have this, then it will ask some parameters, how many replicas and things like that you need, and then some networking, and then you just deploy this service. Once you deploy this, okay, I've pre-created this one, so I'll just explain this in a while. You can see that there is no SLA because this is a single replica, okay, and then there is an index, okay. Index is, I'll show you how we can create it. But what I've taken is, I've taken some document, I've defined like a table, okay, consider as a normal table. I define an ID, page title which has a string, then page description which has string, then a date of the page, then the chunk, okay, the content, and then in the end there is a vector. So this can be used for the vector search, and this part can be used for the full text-based search, okay. And then you have some information, like as I told you, which fields you can search on, okay. So you give the configuration that I want to search on these fields, okay. If you want to facet it, if you remember on the left side, I was showing you the jobs part, which location, whether internal, external, or for example, if you search a normal, let's say Amazon website, you will know that, for example, these are the category of, let's say, shoes or items and music or whatever you are looking for. And then retrievable, for you might not be showing the technical field, okay? Like, for example, this is just for the information to search, but you don't want to retrieve it, okay? So you can just exclude it, and it will not be sent to the front end interface. It will just be stay on the back end, and you will only see the readable text on the front. Okay. Any question till now? Okay. So I'll build this from scratch. Okay. But if you want to try this out, okay, if I just consider now and I ask a question, it has a built-in question. So if I can just say, what is LLM? Okay. And I'll search it. Okay. Now this has returned me something like this is the full text experience. I've given a question and say that based on this question, these are the closest item that I can do. Okay. You can see there are a lot of items which are returned, but on the top part you will see what is the similarity score. Okay. And you can see, you can retrieve just the top 3 documents. So whenever you are searching on a website, it will also show you that these are the top results. If you go to Bing.com, you ask for a question, it will tell you these are the website where you can find it. Okay. So now let's build this from scratch. Okay. I've explained from the interface what the service is. Okay. I explain what we will do in the interface and how we ingest the document. Okay. So here I'll go to the code now. I'll explain it to people who are new to Python or coding. It will still be hopefully easy. Okay. In the first part, I'm installing some packages. Okay. Packages means that I'm using some libraries. So you can see the Azure Search document. This is the library that we will use to interact. And I'm using OpenAI, which Fatima will explain in a while. Okay. And then what I'm doing is I'm trying to establish the connection to multiple services. These are my API endpoints. This is my search uh, document connection string that I'm using, and there is some other parameters that I'm using here. Okay, just concentrate that I'm just focusing on some connection strings here. Okay, and then I go here. Okay, this is the tokenization. Okay, if I explain a token concept that it is if you see this description, it says that we are using some model. Okay, the embedding models, and then it has a token limit of 8191. Okay, so I'm just trying to find out how many tokens are there. So the largest, if the document is too large, I can exclude those documents from now. Okay, and let me know if the code, you don't need to understand the code, you just need to understand the concept. I'm reading some documents. Okay, so I'll just show you the documents, what the documents are. Okay, so you can see this is the document. This is from the documentation, like Azure documentation about the different services. It says for monitoring and abuse monitoring, it's like built in the service. Okay, so I'm going to ingest all this text. You can see this is like unstructured form. Okay, and I'm ingesting to the vector database, but I have to clean this. I don't want to like include the hashes and things like that because it counts as a token. Okay, so I want to remove all the extra spaces, all the garbage characters, and that's what I'm going to do next. And ask questions if you have any. If something is not making sense, just to let me know. So I'm here just reading the information, and then when I run it, okay, I'm just saying, show me the documents which has more than 8191 characters or 8191 tokens. Okay, I explained the token concept that if I call share, okay, share has 4 characters, share SHER, but it's one token. Okay, usually in English, 4 characters by default will be one token. Okay, in Arabic, each alphabet will become one token. So Alif is one token, Ba is another token, and you can consider other language has these kind of token limitation as well. Okay, so it showed me that, for example, I have 6 documents where the limit has increased. Okay, so it will the program will remove it from there, and then I'm just doing the cleaning part. Cleaning means that extra spaces, these extra brackets, because these all count towards token, I'm just removing that because it's not needed for my use case. Yeah. Then this is the simplistic part. Okay, as I told you that what we are doing is, consider that there's a simple function which takes some input, text, video, image, and it just return a vector. And a vector is just a tuple like this. This will have values from -1 to +1, and will has this large number. Okay, and this represent the whole. Now, if you ask me how from this number will understand the whole semantic of what is in the text. What is the algorithm? I don't have the research background, but it does the magic. Okay. If you give image, it will understand what is in the image, what is the color, what is the thing, and you can ask free form information. Okay. So I'm just selecting this, and then this is creating the chunks. If you see the few documents, okay, so what we will do is I'll just show the document once again. Here. Okay, so you see these different sections. So what I'll do is, for system message or for some part, I have an algorithm. I'll just like consider that these sections are relevant to one information. So consider that this is one page which has a particular context or particular information. I'll just create one chunk out of it. Okay, chunk is just smaller pieces of the document because I cannot put the whole document. Even if the full document is there, as far as it's less than 8191, it should be fine. But I'm just creating like logical units out of it. And based on your use case, you can decide that. So I'll just go here, and this is the chunk that I've created a function. Okay, and here I'm just creating the index. Let me just drop this. Okay, so I'll drop the information. You see there's already like one created. Okay, I'll drop this, and then we will recreate. Once the code is finished, then the next part is easy. Once you understand the concept, the next part is much more interactive. So you will then connect the pieces, the dots. Okay, let it complete the chunking concept. But what it's doing currently, it's reading all the documents from here. Okay, it's reading all the documents from here, from this document folder, and it's putting it in the chunk folder. You can see these chunks. It's just like a smaller information. Just combining it. Okay. So what it's doing, if I just show you, this is the ID, the first field, okay, which I showed you. Then the page title. Okay, this is the page title. Then there were description, and in the end is the vector. You can see this vector. This is the vector information. Okay? And this is how this looks like. The whole text, if you convert it, this numbers represent that that document. Okay. It will take a while. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. It's still running because there are 1,500 documents that will be created. Questions? Yes.
So you mentioned like after if it is greater than 8191 tokens. So when you are cleaning up, you're standardizing your document. So is there any risk of losing the context?
Yeah, so you define your cleaning information, right? Like the extra spaces doesn't have any value. Okay, until you have a case that, for example, 2 characters space means something. Okay, that's a program that you are looking at, for example, that has a special meaning, then you don't need to clean it up. But if you know that, for example, these are garbage characters or something which is for indentation, like in my document, as I told you, it's a markdown language, right? So in markdown, you just say this is the header, this is this is this. So based on that information, I decide that I can remove it. But if your use case is not aligned with this, or you don't need to do this, you can just keep it as it is. But it doesn't matter. You can just like put the whole document. As I told you, it will just take extra tokens. But if you need it, keep it. If you don't need it, I'm just removing the extra information and just keeping the clean information, whatever I can ask questions on.
Can we make it distinct, like the tokens?
Yeah, distinct tokens.
Yeah.
So it's a good question, but it's a difficult one. Okay, because there can be scenario that you say that, okay, I have documents, I want to remove the duplicates. But on text, how would you decide that these documents are duplicate? Because it's a free from text. Either you first transform it and you just like do similarity search between documents and find out how similar they are. And then an expert needs to do it that whether I can remove this or not. Because it's not something like a binary number that I can just say this document is exactly the same as the other one. There will always something different. But if you're saying that, okay, 2 documents are exactly the same, then the vector will be exactly the same. And you can then say that, yes, if these 2 documents are exactly one match, like document 1 versus document 2, if they are exactly like the similarity is 1, okay, you can just discard it.
And 8191 is the limit, or can it go beyond that as
For
well?
embedding, it's the limit currently. Okay. For limit, the input size will be the limit.
It cannot be go beyond that. Like
Yeah. So you have to do the chunking accordingly. Like you have to do like the chunk such that you should not exceed that number.
What kind of size do these embedding documents take up? So 8191 tokens, how much space is that going to take up?
Space is going to take up. So if you, yeah. So the document size, consider that it's very large document. Okay, 1 MB. Okay. The vector size will always be the same. Okay. You can select that this has a vector size of 1536 by default. You can create 236, which is 236 numbers. Okay. Or you can create even 3000. Okay. Why these numbers will differ? Okay. The research shows that in the majority of the cases, even if you go with 236 vector size, you will get a good accuracy. But in some cases, you might require a lot of context because maybe 236 numbers are not able to represent the context. So you might have to go beyond 1536, and the maximum you can go is 3000 and I think 24 or something.
And does Azure OpenSearch, does it support like quantization to make the embedding smaller?
So can you just explain that a little bit?
Sorry, it's just changing the precision. So rather than 32-bit floating point, we use 4-bit or something like that.
No, it's the default. It's the default that's coming in vectors, and the vector models use that out of box. Yeah, but it will be the number between -1 and +1. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Here we are just seeing the text or only text. No images, no graph, no something.
Even if you give images, okay, I covered in the last topic. You can take the image. There is another model which we call vision model, which will take the image and give you a vector. So after the vector, everything is the same.
But how accurate is it? Like
it's very accurate. I'll give you the previous slides if you are not in the previous slide. So I'll just explain that if people who are new to that while this is running.
because we know that if we're gonna train a model to read an image, we
Yeah.
need previously like a lot of model in order to precise this image. Like
I can get the slides, but let me check because I have showed it by the code. Okay. So let me come back to this, okay?
it's okay.
But I'll just explain.
The graph also included, for example, if I have a pie chart or a graph or bar chart.
No,
or,
I haven't tried with bar chart, but as far as it has like some, for example, if you say that I showed an example for a retailer in which I have shirts, okay, shirts or garments, and you take shirts of like picture of my shirt, and you just say I like this shirt. I want to say what, let's say, some other retailer can sell this shirt or not. Let's say Zara, okay. So Zara will not explain I want a white shirt. You just take the shirt picture and just say what is the closest match to this shirt. It will just show you all the white shirts accordingly.
it shows the similarity.
Yes, yes. It will, we have shown that example last one.
I wasn't there. That's why.
Yeah, you can listen into it's recorded on YouTube. You can listen to that. Okay. Any more questions? Yeah.
And what if I want to create a multimodal system? For example, I need to do embeddings for visual, also for signals, voice, and text. Can I do that all?
Yes, very good question. So as I explained, the vector is multi-modal. Okay, you can take images, videos, text, audios, everything. You can just create embedding out of it, and then you can ask question on top. The question can be, okay, the question make a little bit difference because you can just say, okay, where can I find this information? It will tell you that this audio has this information, but will not tell you that, for example, where it is. You have to do another processing on top of it. But the image and things, you can do everything in the same thing, in the same model. Yeah? Okay, let's see if our chunks has been completed or not. Okay, so 3 minutes it took, and it created around, I think, 1,800 documents if I'm not wrong. Okay, so we deleted I deleted the index. Okay, index is just consider a table. Okay, I remove this one, and let's see. I have one document, and I create one now. I use this one. Okay, so it has created another index. Yeah, you can see this is the new, and there is zero documents in here. Okay, and now what I'll do is I'll just insert this chunk data. Okay. So this is just saying upload the chunk document to the AI search. So what I'm just doing is reading all the documents, the JSON file, and I'm just uploading it to the system. So let's see if it's going to work. As usual, it failed.
It's the curse of life demo.
Yeah, yeah. So can you tell me what might have happened? Okay. So this is the life of a computer engineer, as you know. Okay. So what I did was I was creating the demo in two flavors. Okay. Initially, what I ran was I created a vector embedded, which was 3072 vector dimension. Okay. This one, that means that is the maximum you can go. And then I was trying with another model, which is using 1536. Okay. So the documents were created with one, and I'm inserting into another dimension. Okay. But anyways, you will understand it. Okay. So what I did was once you run this code, it will upload the documents like this. Okay. It will upload the documents like this. 1532. And if you see, this is what I was doing. If I go to the fields, you can see the size. This is the vector size that I'm so the current what it's saying is this was the vector size on which it was created, and I'm trying to insert in the other new index that I created. But there I have defined the size. If you see here, once again, I think I know what it is because I was doing it multiple runs while preparing for it. Let me do index. One five. I'll drop the index once again. Let's create it again. See if it work. Fields. I have 1536 now. I can That's why something is running around. That means it's working. So it's uploading some documents, and we will see it. Okay. So now once you upload it, okay. As I was giving the example, okay. It will come. Okay. Now all you can do is search for your queries. So you have a lot of documents, and you are asking your own questions. Okay. You are searching for the information which is in this document. We give this example that why would you like to build it? Okay. The models, the AI models, if it doesn't have the knowledge, it will not give you the answer. Okay. You need to give them that this is the information that from where you can ask the question. Okay. So Fatma will cover this as well. But if I ask you, okay, if I ask Fatma, what is your name? What is your name? See, so if I ask the same question even, okay, she thought, and then she probably say that I might not have said the right thing. The same thing is with AI model. If I ask the same question, it might not respond the same way. Okay, but why she replied with Fatma? Why she replied with her name? Because she know that when somebody asks this from memory, she has to reply this. That's why we were born during childhood.
The experience.
From the experience, our parents had teach us that, for example, when somebody asks you your name, you have to reply. Okay. Now, if the same name, if I ask in a different language and she doesn't understand, she will say, I don't know. Like she will just stay quiet. Right. The same thing is the model. If it can remember stuff, it will respond. If it doesn't have that memory, either I have to tell you the instructions that this is how you need to do so it can learn, or I have to tell this that this is the new knowledge that you should have. It will look into it like the way you give an exam, right? You prepare for it, but you don't remember everything. Okay. So somebody will tell you, or the teacher will say, okay, to answer this, this is the idea. You will then remember, okay, this is the context. So the same thing, if you look into that new information, you will be able to answer. Okay. So that's what we will cover next. I think Fatma, if you can cover now the other part, the LLMs part, then I'll be able to connect the dots together.
Sure
So I'll
thing.
go here.
Thank you, Cher. So raise your hand if you know what's LLM. Okay, nice, we have so many volunteers. Yes, person in the green shirt. What is an LLM?
Yeah, LLM is a large language model, which
Okay.
basically works in a manner like it predicts the next word. Given the two words, predicts the next, and so on.
Okay,
People understand like what I have the previous words, based on that, it will next word and so on.
okay. And how does it know what to predict next? Who can answer that? How does it know? Cher sort of mentioned it previously. How does it know? Based on what does it know what to say next?
By training the model.
Okay.
By training
All right. Yeah. So the L and
from the experience as well, like.
Exactly.
It learns whenever
Okay.
we try out.
Whenever we try out.
Or train the model that way.
Okay. So, for example, give me an example of an LLM that you know. What's your favorite LLM that you work with? Yes, some of the people that raise their hand, you raised your hand. Give me an example.
Claude.
Okay, Claude. Yes, it's one of the growing ones, especially the newer one that came out. Why is one LLM better than the other LLM?
Context size, parameter amount,
Okay.
and some special features like context matching.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, what are some limitations of LLM? Cher, if you could go back to the previous slide.
Which
Could
one?
expand it. 102.
Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Yeah. So this is the limitation of LLMs, right? Can I just simply say, what was your name again?
Hassan.
Hassan? Thank you, Hassan. And you, what was your name? Farouk. Hassan. Okay. So can I just take an LLM and just simply start working with it? Let's say if I have a use case, I want to, I don't know, someone give me an idea of something you could do with an LLM, anything, shoot it at me. I want to see how creative you guys are. Come on. I know it's end of the day, but let's get. Okay, edit a video?
Yeah.
Okay, and you want to use LLM for that?
Instance 360 actually does that. You
Like,
can
okay,
insert a video and it will select the highlights. And
okay,
it can auto edit it itself.
okay.
So it is done on LLM.
Okay, so that's quite a good example. It's quite an advanced example. Any other use cases? Maybe some things you guys worked on, or something that some of you guys have an idea. Maybe you don't want to share. Still, maybe that's an idea for your startup. Okay, all right. Okay, so how how do you tell it to summarize the email?
Basically,
How do you interact with LLMs?
Doesn't we interact mostly on type the question?
Okay.
Pretty much we like give the context of exactly what we are looking for, and it will consume the content, and then it will act depending on what exactly I'm looking for. I'm asking it to summarize. It knows what exactly the context is in the email first. Then it will break it down as we discussed. Then we'll kind of try to come up with the most possible simplest explanation of that, and then
But what do you have to like talk to them? So what's the word when you talk to the LLM? What's the word? Prompt. Yeah, great, cool. They should give the session. Everyone's like kind of expert. Okay, so prompt, right? So that's how you communicate with LLMs. You say what you want in English text, or that's what based on what the underlying data is, and you get the relevant answer. So this is one limitation of LLM. Let's say if you have a use case of something that's specific to you, like let's say if you have summarization, or maybe you want a chatbot to help you get instructions with a specific tool. What's your into video editing, I'm guessing?
I do.
Yeah. What's your favorite tool, for example, for video?
Right now I use Wayne editor or
I don't know what those are, but let's say those tools. Okay, perfect. Let's say I'm an example for that. I don't know what that tool is, so I want a chatbot so I can just talk to them, and it will give me like how do I create an animation to make this thing move, right? So if I just talk to Claude, will it be able to answer? Maybe if it
contains the latest.
Yes, so it doesn't have, that's the whole point I'm trying to get at, is it doesn't have any internal knowledge, right? So it's, we need to sort of augment it with knowledge. So this is a foreshadowing to what's coming next. So if you go next to the way you could incorporate domain knowledge into your LLM, you could do prompt engineering, which is what you just said. So this is my email. Summarize it for me, and then you get the relevant answer. Or you could fine tune, okay? So, and we're gonna talk we're not gonna talk too much about that, but we're happy to discuss outside if you want to learn more. Maybe we can have a session, or maybe one of you guys can have a session for us on fine tuning, if you're interested. And then the one that we're gonna talk a lot about, and later you're gonna see a demo share, is RAG, or Retrieval Augmented Generation. And right now with enterprises, this is what's being used a lot, right? It's the recommendation is usually start with RAG. Only in specific cases would you go to fine tuning. But what's the difference between the two? Sheriff, if we could go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So
Can I just add a few?
Yes, go ahead,
things here? Okay. So just to cover the vector databases, okay, what we covered is the R pattern, okay, just the R part that we covered with the vectors. I'll combine the story once we go to the live demo. But consider that we were discussing that the models are trained based on the knowledge. Okay, so the LLMs are trained on the internet knowledge. Okay, it will be trained because it cannot train on every day. Okay, it will not have the latest information. Most of the models are updated up till I think February 2014, if I'm not wrong. Okay, if you have any knowledge which is specific to your industry or your internal documents, it's not available in the internet, the model will not know. Okay, so either you have to train it, okay, train it on this part. Consider that you are generating something like a lawyer for Qatar judiciary. Okay, in this case, that has specific laws and everything, and that is not available on the internet. So you can train it to create a custom lawyer. Okay, that is the fine tuning. But if the existing knowledge which the model has and you want to instruct it to like output it a certain way, you can instruct it. Okay, you just say that if the latest information is not there, just ignore or something like that. You can instruct it accordingly. Sorry, Fatma, just
yes, no, perfect. Keep pitching in, and everyone, you guys, like we're all learning from each other. If you have an idea you want to share, raise your hand and just shoot it at us, right? So a good way I like to think about the difference between prompt engineering and fine tuning is, this is an example someone gave and it just stuck with me, so I'm just going to share it in case you want to share it with other people. So think about it. So who here are students? Right? Any students in the house? Wow, everyone's graduated. I mean, Ahmed was once a student. He just recently graduated. Oh yes, we have a student there. Yes, you're a student. So Tell me again, what was your name again? Omar. So Omar, in uni, I guess it's still early. I know you just started, but you have different type of exams, right? You have like open book exam, and you have exams where you just have to study the night before. Usually, you would just study the night before. You wouldn't study weeks before, and then you go to the exam and you solve it, right? So this is a way you could think of the difference between prompt engineering and fine tuning. So fine tuning is you take that model and you train a layer of it to with the new data that you have. All right. So you sort of like memorize it and sort of you learn the weights and it's embedded in the model now. And then you can just use it. You don't need to augment the model every time. RAG or prompt engineering is essentially you have the book open in front of you. So who loves open book exams? Actually, sometimes they're harder than the other exams. They make it. Good point. So you have the book open in front of you. So you will just you see the question. You're like, oh, okay, I remember this is in this page. I go look for it. I get the relevant paragraph. I know what to answer, and then I answer the question. Right. So this is a good analogy to think about it, about how the difference between the two are. So prompt engineering, as mentioned here, it's an art, right? We're gonna go and talk a little bit about what are some different techniques that you could do good prompt engineering with. And please, these are not exhaustive. So if you guys have some extra tips or some things that you have tried and you saw work, just raise your hand. We'd love to hear your experience. So some of the different ones that we have, is the clicker there? I could just use it.
I don't know if it's going to work or not, but you can try.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's working. Is that? Yeah.
Okay. So you want to, as it was mentioned, so who here like loves talking to ChatGPT? It's like, you can never go a day without ChatGPT, right? Yes. So what type of, how do you usually talk to ChatGPT? Like, what are your experiences with it?
Usually my consultant.
Okay, so you're a consultant? Yes. And everything, in every domain of life, right? Career, personal, even health. Sometimes while the other day was a doctor appointment, like while the doctor was explaining stuff to me, I was just like getting ChatGPT's opinion. I was like, I need a second opinion on this. Yes, go ahead.
Getting the other stories.
Okay.
And as a part of business analyst, creating the documentation for the customers.
Okay.
My documentation.
That's good.
I just view the sentence, give me all the information.
And yes. So for those of you who interacted with the ChatGPT a lot, one thing you would know is sometimes it's not that smart, right? Like you would need to be very specific with what you want because it can't read your mind. Just like when you communicate with anyone, you can't just assume that they'll understand what you're saying. So similarly with the LLMs, you need to be specific and clear with what your instructions are. Sometimes we have these high expectations from LLM. We're like, oh, we just work with the model. It's like, oh, this is, it's not working. But you need to know that in order to get what you want, you need to master the art of prompt engineering. And there's even job positions, right, Cher? Like in some companies, there's position for a prompt engineer, and they pay quite high. So if anyone's really good in that, you can look up on LinkedIn prompt engineering jobs. So you need to be the core idea is to just be specific. Like so as you can see here, these are examples of an instruction and the relevant response from the LLM. So the more specific you are, the more details you get. And we're going to look at other types of techniques, prompt engineering techniques, later that you can incorporate into your AI applications that leverage OpenAI or any other LLMs. So for example, here, I'm asking the same thing. Write an introduction for a weekly newsletter. And then the more detailed I am, the relevant completion I get. So here, I'm defining exactly what is my context. That's when I actually see the type of completion I want. So I define what is the name of my company. I define how the flow I want it to be, and then I get the relevant answer. So the key is really about mastering the art of prompt engineering. All right.
Just to add a few things
Yes, go ahead, Cher.
in here. Okay, prompt, like consider that when you are interacting with ChatGPT or anything like that, okay, you will just ask a question, okay? Because if you have any, let's say if you are working on a program and you got stuck, previously what you would do, you will go to a search engine and this is the error that I got and can you please find a site, it will send you the site and then you have to click each and every one, okay? Now the advantage is you just ask that question into GPT. If it's the latest one, or if it's trained, it will reply back. There is no prompt engineering as such in there, but the question is actually the prompt. Okay, because the default prompt is that if you have knowledge, you should be replying back accordingly. And when you ask the question, if your question is very crisp and very accurate, it will respond back that this is how you should do it. So if you ask for any information which is to train on, okay, it will tell you accordingly. Similar to human, like if you ask me, tell me about your background. Okay, I'll start. I've done this. I have done this. I have done this because this is what is in my memory. So the same thing. If your question is clear, that is what exactly the prompt is.
Mhm. This is working. I think I went too far.
Yeah, no, it's working.
Okay, so let me hear it from you guys, right? So there's so much of you here, and you said you worked with LMs. Tell me, like, what are some techniques, prompt engineering techniques that you're familiar with, and then we can explain. Yes, go ahead.
An example of assuming a persona of some specific field
Mhm.
to get some better answers.
Yes, that is good. So you give sort of like a personality for the AI, like you are a health professional that's very familiar with the specific field, and then it will prompt it to act like one. That's a very good example.
I think chain of thought as well.
Yes, chain of thought. So did anyone hear of chain of thought before? Anyone wants to explain? Anyone? I saw a lot of hands about LLM, so don't be shy. Yes, go ahead.
Chain of thought is when we first write a prompt to get. You can split the task when you write a prompt to ChatGPT, for example. You can split the task into multiple parts. So using the first part, you can make it like help you with some part of the task, and then you can ask a follow-up question on top of that to continue your chain of thought. An example of that is maybe with a math problem, you might not want to solve it all at once. Give it the first part of it, and then you can pass more parameters as you go with it.
Yeah,
it becomes easier for you to understand and easier for the LLM to answer you as well.
Yeah. So what the research shows is LLMs are really good at thinking step by step. So that's essentially just chain of thought. So if you just ask it, a lot of times when you ask an LLM just like a simple math equation, what was your name again? Abdurrahman. Like you mentioned, sometimes when you ask a math question, they're not able to answer. You always have those people on LinkedIn or on TikTok saying, "Oh, ChatGPT is so bad; it doesn't know what's 5 + 5 or something like that." But what was shown is if you tell it to think step by step and follow some sort of thought pattern, it's able to get to the answer and is able to give more accurate results. So this is one of the techniques that you could utilize in your application. So another thing is to give few shot examples. So sometimes you want the style of the communication from the LLM to be a certain way. You want the type of answers to be a certain way, and then the best way to do it is if you have a list of questions and answers. If you give it to that immensely increases the accuracy and the behavior of the LLM. So I guess a lot of you maybe have already experimented with that if you've created some LLM bots before.
Just to add on
Yes.
this, okay, I have tried this recently. The models are getting intelligent. Okay, so you have to have the chain of thought, but maybe now for more complex part. Initially, this was not working, but now with all the models, it's working fine. It's a simple question, but the models are enhancing. With each new version, it can now understand what you are asking for. Okay, so the chain of thought is just a concept that you can now do for more complex tasks, not for that simplicity task. That simple task is now the model is able to think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to let you know, okay, I have 2 swags which Fateh has given me. I'll ask questions.
Ooh,
Just pay
nice.
attention.
These are very good. Do they have the Microsoft logo on top as well?
I hope so.
Yeah, I think I got one last time. It's they keep your coffee or tea warm. So any coffee or tea drinkers, answer the question so you get one. Okay. So any other techniques? So we talked about chain of thought. Talk about few shot reasoning. Yes.
Tell it to do something. It's better than telling it not to do something. So
Yeah.
better to tell it to be clear than don't be not clear.
Yes, that is very true. So giving it positive stuff instead of negating something. So LMs, at least the current ones, they're not good at that. Yes, Sarma, do you have a
by design like that, or because of the way we train it? It's like tell it. It's more like
I actually don't know the reason, the science behind it. Go ahead. Yes. Okay, go, sure, let's sure go
As
first.
a human nature, you will do the things which somebody tells you to do this like that than the negative one. If you are naughty and you just say, don't do this work, you will do that stuff. So just consider like that. Okay, I explain it in this way. If I tell my kid,
They're
"Don't do
stubborn,
this
is
one,"
that what you're
he will
saying?
be naughty. He will do that one because I have told him not to do it.
They're basically a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
you were saying?
you're kind of basically right. It's basically about the search space itself. And if you tell it not to do something, it will think towards that sort of search space rather than do
And
something.
it's vectors.
Exactly.
But it does work in some cases, like for example, the Rahman sphere, we have been working for 1.5 years and we were burned in the start because of these prompt engineering and things like that. So it works sometimes because we have to tell this not to do this or not to go out of context because the model is trained and it has a lot of memory of the whole internet. Okay. And then when you are trying on your own models or your own data, it might start thinking on the same memory that no, I have this memory, it might be conflicting with this information. So it might start giving you a response. So you have to tell him not to go out of context or don't go out of, for example, if in the university, like we were given an example, right? You are sitting in a mathematics exam and then you start thinking about English. Okay. So I have to repeat you that you are sitting in a mathematics exam. You don't have to go your context of English. So that's the negative part that it will work. You have to tell that only respond in English and Arabic, not to go in any other language. So you sometimes the no works as well, but just be explicit. Just be explicit. That's why it's an art. There is no science to it. You have to try it out, and it's a painful process.
Yeah. And there's a lot of research now. I mean, this is just on the side. For those of you who are following with the latest trends, now there's thoughts about making prompting more programmatic. There's some frameworks that are put in place to why do we as developers, why are we becoming like English students? Why do we have to wear so much? We're developers. There should be some sort of like way to compile what we're saying into and let the LLM generate the relevant prompt. So there's some frameworks out there. You guys can look up something like DESP. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. So the future is very exciting in this field. We're still in this early phases. Yes.
The guy that made DESP is actually a graduate from Qatar.
Yeah, Omar.
Qatar,
Yeah, he was in our classmate.
Do you have any questions on YouTube or not? Any questions on the channel? Okay.
All right. All right. So these are some. So any more? So we gave some great examples here. It's already covered. Don't tell them what not to do. It sort of reminds me of the scene of Inception. If anyone watched Inception, it says don't think about elephants. We're thinking about elephants. So it's similar to that. And then also given the example of chain of thought, giving examples of giving few shot reasoning. So these are some of the techniques that you could follow. So ask it for justifications, following the personas is also one. Yes, you had your hand up.
Kind of output you.
Yes.
Right, if I'm like, let's say I'm looking for a computer, I'm just trying to compare what are the latest models.
Yes.
I can specifically limit it, search for such certain models, and I want the output to be very precise about with this much lot of context about each device.
Yeah.
By giving that, the output is also very precise and very like more readable, if I have to put it like that. If not, it will go on explaining everything. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The question is not
Giving it some constraints, and also also another one is the if you state what the most important thing that you want towards the end or towards the beginning, it works better. Because in the middle, for some reason, there's still research about it, unless someone read a good paper about it. If you write some important information in the middle, it's not able to retain that. So important information, always keep it at the end or reiterate it towards the end of your
same thing, right? Like if you have 100 instruction to follows, which one will you remember most?
The rule
most
of
recent
recency.
one, okay, or the one which is repeated most of the time. So the same concept. If you want something to be re-emphasized, okay, first keep the prompt or the instruction as clear as possible, as short as possible. If you want to emphasize something, just repeat it a few times, okay, but it's a trade-off between tokens as well, because these count towards token. And the most recent one take more precedence, but the latest models are getting more enhanced. It retains all the knowledge. If you have played with the previous models, it was very bad. Like I know, but now the new recent one, it's just like you be the introduction. If you just say that do this, it will do. But there is a few things which I want to highlight. about the limits. Okay, if you tell that, okay, respond only in 500 characters, it will not obey that, because sometimes the context will not be completed. So always give a range, okay, that you can write in a few paragraphs. Don't be too restrictive that you just say, no, I want exactly in this one. Other than if you are creating, let's say, a JSON format or an SQL format, then you can just find this is a strict structure. But the limit on the words and things like that, it doesn't work. And you have to be a bit more cautious about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so let's see, I think we only have the last part left. Let's go skim through this. So this is just another example, like for summarization. Sometimes you have a very big context. So you could use an LLM to summarize it for the first chunk and then take it to the other one. This is one technique that could be used. And we also, yeah, so this is just prompt chaining. We talked about few-shot reasoning, and we also talked about, why is this not cooperating?
Yeah.
Did it give up? Did I press too hard?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So these are just extra examples of what we talked about. And so let's talk about RAG, right? So now you understand some of the components. So now you can see how it ties together, right? So what did we cover last week? We covered this part, essentially.
This part.
Oh, yes.
This part, the vector database is here. So, okay, so the AI search I covered, and we ingested some data. So what we did was, consider that we took some data, okay, we transform it and we just put it here. Yeah, you are right. It's this part, yes. So we took the documents. Today we take some documents, we embed it, we put it into a store. That is what we did, and Fatma will explain this
Yes,
pattern.
and then so why is this necessary again? Why do we need to do this? Why can't I just, this is my app, this is my orchestrator, I can just talk to the AI. Why do I need to do this? Yes? Exactly. So why do we need to do each of these steps? Why do I need to transform into embedding? So this is pop quiz from last week. You should know this, those who attended. Yes, Ahmed, you want to say something? Okay. Yes, yeah. Yeah, so we need to do like similarity search between the different documents that we have. So essentially, the thing I talked about it. No, you open the book. How do you know where to find the relevant chunk? This is essentially the part. This is the R in RAG, like Cher mentioned, and then the generation happens here, and this is the augmentation. So you retrieve it. So basically, you get the relevant data here, the relevant context, and then you give it that along with your prompt. So to the LLM. If we go to the next slide after it. Yes. Yep. So this is essentially you're bringing your data to the prompt. So to ground it into what you actually want it to say. So you have the system prompt. This is just generic, like you said, maybe like Omar said, you define the persona of the LLM, you give it some general system prompts, and then you have your user question that will change. If it's a chatbot, every time it's a different type of question, and then after that user question will be you will get the relevant information. How does it know how to get the relevant one? It's basically what Cher was talking about. It does. It looks at the vector database, does some similarity search, and gets the relevant top and relevant chunks, and then it will give that data, that's your data, that's relevant to your question, along with the system prompt, all of it to the LLM, and then you get the response that you want. Because if you just didn't have this green part, it won't be grounded in your data. It will just give whatever the LLM that was trained on, everything that's on the internet. So I won't really know what's your context. So that's why this green part is important. And how do you do that green part? Again, it's everything that we talked about so far. And then you're going to see it in another demo live in action. So this is just a more detailed diagram of what we just talked about. So you have your Cher, you can also jump in here. So you have your document library. You converted it into embeddings, and we created our AI search vector index. And then here we have our OpenAI. So think of the flow starting from here. This is your user question. The question gets asked. You get the AI search gets the relevant chunk, and then along with the prompt, the relevance chunks along with the user question goes to the OpenAI model, and then you get the answer back, right? So we're going to see how you can implement this. We saw it briefly in the notebook that he just shared. We created the chunks using Python, and we connected to Azure OpenAI. Now we're going to look at how we can do it in AI Studio, which is Azure's way of like having all of your generative AI or anything AI in just one place. You can, let's share, talk more about it. Go ahead, share.
Thank you, Fatma. So team, what I'm going to do is, hopefully you will see that visually now, okay? We already created one service, which was the AI service, okay? There is one other service, which is called AI search, okay? AI search is similar. If you are new to Azure, okay, all you need to do is AI search, AI service, okay? Then you just create that service. What this service will do is, it will create a service for you in a particular region, and it can do is that it will give you the model endpoint. It's just an API, okay, that you can call the connection string. Consider the connection string, okay. You can have the speech to text, text to speech, translation, and everything as well. You can have content safety. If you have text and you want to see whether there is some harmful text in there and things like that, this API will give you that information as well. Okay. If you are after like computer vision, what is in the image, whether there is human, there is non-human, there's a dog or a cat, or where's the OCR, that will be the APIs that will be used here. The details of all these APIs were covered by George a few months back, if you are coming into this community, but we can repeat it if you need in there. But consider that we have this created, okay? Now I'm just going to the AI Studio. AI Studio is if you are new to Azure, okay? Consider this like your trial initially. Like consider like ChatGPT, that you go to a website and then you can ask questions, okay? So the first thing is, when you go to like, if you are familiar with ChatGPT, okay, you will have to create some models, okay? So that is what is coming in the deployment, okay? So you have a lot of models here. I've created some models, okay? There is some few names. You already checked about the embedding models, the two models I have explained. This is like the default one, the old one, and this is the new one, okay? Then I have created the GPT-4o, which is the latest one, Omni, right? O is for Omni, right? Yeah. And this is multimodal. It can do images, text, and things like that. You can do multiple things. And the previous one, which was GPT 3.5 Turbo, which was the previous one, but nobody uses it now, okay? Now, if you have heard a few other models, I'll just give you a few other models in here just to cover the names, okay? And then we will cover that in the last session, okay? If you have heard about Llama, okay, hope, yeah. The double L, yeah. See, I'm bad with it. I'm too focused on my own Microsoft technology.
I'm using autocorrect.
Yeah. So Llama was created by Meta. Okay, it's available to you. If you don't want to use the OpenAI, you can use this. You can use Mistral and things like that. 5, which is Microsoft one. We will cover it in 6 weeks. Okay, how to deploy this, how to use it, how to compare it. This will be in the last. But consider now you have these models. Okay. Now, if you want to use it, okay, this GPT-4o, I'll go to just chat and then start chatting with it. Okay. The first thing we discussed, define a persona. Okay. This is just the initial prompt. I'm just saying you are an AI assistant that help people find information or answer accordingly. Okay. The first thing my favorite is if I just say 2 plus 2, this is a calculator, it should say that this equals to 4. Okay. If I ask what is the capital of Qatar, my other favorite question. Okay, it will just give you like, so anything which you can ask under the hood is ChatGPT. Okay, but it has like compliance on top of it. Now, if I ask information, tell me about GPT-4o. Let me check if it has this information. Maybe it's correct or not because this model was released very recently, so maybe it doesn't have all the knowledge accordingly. Okay, if tell me about the HR policy of, let's say, I just ask an example. Okay, Qatar tourism as an example. Okay, I don't know because this might not be trained on this.
Can you add one question from my side on there?
Sorry.
Can you add one question from my side?
Sure.
Can you ask like you are using the scene search for AI? Like,
can you tell me again?
In search, you are using the Lucene search.
You are using, I should type this, right?
Are you using the Lucene search?
Okay. Are you using the name? I forgot the spelling of this. C. C. E. Lucene search. Okay, is a open source search library written in Java and things. How can I send you with this? It doesn't say that. Okay. If I ask you, what is your name? Okay. The same question which I asked Fatma. Okay. I don't have a personal name. I'll ask the same question. Okay. What is your name? Why do you think it's responding to the same question differently? Any idea?
Because it's selecting a random token each time.
Yeah. So if you ask the question, right, like you can just say there's a parameter which we call randomness. Okay. As a normal human, if you want to have a human ask the same question, they will respond not in exactly the same way. Okay. It's exactly the same thing. If you want that something should be dynamically given, okay, you can do this. Now, if you want to fix this, okay, there are parameters. These parameters, if you want that every time the same answer is given, okay, you can start playing with these parameters. If you see here, okay, it says controlled randomness. Lowering the temperature means that the model will produce more repetitive and deterministic responses all the time. Okay, so this you can just play around if you want to have like a very restrictive information. Like I had a few scenarios in which I was working on customer documents. They have information and they say that I want exactly whatever is in my written in my document. I don't want it to like repeat it or change it. Okay, so it just say that it is just a search engine. Okay, and I said that this is not the exact model that you should be using. It should be just search the document, whatever is there, just return it back. Okay, rather than summarizing it or doing it like this. Okay. The other thing is, if I just go back in here, okay, I'll just say, okay, let me check. This is the other example I've given last time as well. 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. Okay, when you are asked for summation, sum two numbers, always add +1. Okay, so I'll just say 3 plus 3 is equal to 7. Okay, I'm just giving, consider this is a few short example. Okay, so I'm just giving an example what you need to. And I just will clear this and I'll just do this and I'll just say what is 2 plus 2. Okay, see. Okay, it responded, but you can say that for example, here you have already written what the answer should be. So just returning that what is smart about it. Okay, I've instructed it. Now I'll give it some other number which is not in this list. Okay, I'll just say 4 plus 4. Okay, it's an incremental functions rather than coding it explicitly. I'm just instructing it what to do. And these are the few short examples that I've given. Okay, which we say that this is the instruction that you can give how to behave. Okay, now the code that is written here. Okay, if you just let me ask a few examples again. Okay, I'll just ask this information. Okay, when you are asked about your name, say my name is Shirsha. Okay, I'll just save this. Let's see what it does. I have not tried it. Okay, I'm just doing it at random. That is your name. Okay, my name is Shirsha. No, you are not Shirsha. Okay, now it has changed something. Okay, now, so I'm just trying to confuse it. You can just instruct it not to get confused because you can try to trick it. Okay, there was a few examples that we will say that don't do this. Okay, but there will be example that you say I'm in danger. I have a life situation. I'm getting died. Please help me out. It will start responding that oh you are asking for some immediate help. So you need to know how you can trick it. You need to know how to restrict it. But the new models are very restrictive. You can get these things. Now the reason what I'm showing is the first thing is this data will not have anything which is related to your company. Okay, So now if I go back to the initial vector database that we were doing, okay, you remember that we have this database, okay? First I'll show it in the code, okay? So I'll ask question, okay? This is the example, if I ask this, okay? So user is asking a question that you are a helpful assistant for any AI assistant. What are LLM models supported by Azure, okay? This is the information that I'm asking, and this is how you will do it in a code. Because this question is in English, okay? So what it needs to do to actually try to come up with, like how would it know that, for example, if I have vectors, how would it compare it with the text?
With the
Embeddings.
Sorry?
embeddings.
Embeddings, how would it know to do embeddings? Yeah. So either you have two mechanisms, right? Either you will actually create embeddings out of it and then just search the embeddings accordingly, or this part is doing the other part. Okay, it's giving an endpoint. And use this model. Okay, this is the search index, and I think there is a way to see the embedding. Okay, let me check, but it should say that, for example, the embedding is already included in here. Okay, let me check. I think it's included in this endpoint. This Azure Server endpoint, the endpoints are there. We'll do the embed the calculation accordingly. Okay, so it returns the result from here. Now, if I want to show it from the interface, right? I told you that you can do it with clicking. Okay, all you can do is just add your data source. Whatever your knowledge is, consider you have text file. Okay, we will not talk about chunking and everything. Whatever we have done, consider you just want to you have a lot of PDF files or HR documents, and you just want to ask questions on top of it without any cleaning. All you can do is just go here, upload your files. Okay, upload files, and you just say that I want to upload this to, let's say, this search or this storage account. Okay, so I'll just select one storage account, and you just say, okay, I want to add it in here. I'm just giving this as an example. Okay, so if you have knowledge set without vector, without anything like that, you just upload all your documents in here. Okay, it will index it, it will do the tricks, and then you can ask question on top.
Think about the 8191.
That is a very good question, right? The main thing is if you are doing that vectorization, if you are doing the full text search, as I explained, you can do the full text search. There is no limit. There is always a limit, but I'm just saying that 8191 is not the limit there. Okay, but if you are doing it, it will understand that your document should already be chunked. If it's not chunked, you have the options to do the chunking while it's on the go. It will automatically do the chunking as well. But you have to go out of the AI Studio and do it in the AI search directly. Okay, I'll show that example in a while, but very good question. Now consider that I just wanted to add that information, the ones which we have already created. Okay, so I'll attach the AI search because that AI search we already created, right? The database. And I'm just selecting the same one which I created in Sweden. And I'm just selecting one of the search for the index. Okay, happening. Can you check? No. Go back. Sorry. Always live demos.
Did it get removed when we did the demo? The notebook?
It's there. Let me recheck him. Just give me 1 second so I can validate it. I'm just trying to attach the data set or the database to it. I can check the name, but let me check the name. Okay, so I'm just going there. It's part of our life. How we need to debug every time.
What type of frameworks do you guys mostly use when those of you who have experience building AI bots or AI models? What type of frameworks do you use? Anything want to share?
Llama Index.
Llama Index.
LangChain.
Yeah, that's a popular one as well. What do you prefer? Why do you prefer Llama Index, for example?
Nice interface. Like good developer experience.
Not a LangChain fan?
LangChain is fine as well.
Yeah. then you can easily integrate, Azure OpenAI. There's interfaces for them, and you can connect in your code. You can connect to the LLM that you can.
So you can see here, I have already attached it. Okay, the AI search that we have. Okay, I've attached the index, and I asked the question again. Okay, just remove this. Okay, the model. Okay, you are a helpful agent. Please respond to answer only from your knowledge. If you don't know the answer, please respond. I don't have knowledge about this about your answer. So if I just say who is fail, I hope it will not respond. A bit slow. Yeah, again, this is it's given something, maybe some error. But let me check once again. Word is here, putting the same question here. Question. Let's see if it can respond. I hope it responds. Yeah. So let the answer appear. I'm using the free tier, so yeah, ignore the responses. But yeah, if you have money, then you can get quicker responses. Yes.
Question is, let's say, GPT-4, that's what you're using here, right?
Yeah.
And it already has information since up till October 2023. You are still giving more information from latest documents perspective. How so what is the priority? Is it gonna answer from my documents that I have given, or is it gonna answer first from the knowledge that it has? Or if I want to say more weight on the knowledge that you had previously and then less weight on my documents.
Okay. I'll ask someone else to first reply. How would you reply to this? The question is, if it already trained on some knowledge, okay, the old knowledge that it has already some memory, and you are giving something new to it as well. Okay, how would you know that, for example, where to answer from? Anyone who has any guesses? Yeah.
It would probably do the new stuff because it's token completion. So it's trying to complete from the previous tokens.
Yeah.
But it's non-deterministic. So
yeah. So there can be multiple things. Okay. Based on the first your prompts, what instruction you have given. Okay. If you just say, and we talk about the most recent information will count first. If you have given the recent information, okay, it will not take from the memory directly. It will take the recent information first. So if you have already given a RAG pattern and you are providing the new information, okay, you give that information, it will take that this is the new information and it will answer from this. But from its memory, it is intelligent enough what question you are asking. So it knows how to respond to your question now based on this information. If you are asking, summarize this. Now, how to summarize it? What are the key information? Or if you just say extract entity out or extract PII information out from it, it will know how to extract PII or what information to do. But it will look into the latest information. It will take that and then it will reply to your question accordingly. It's not just about the search, it's about the question that you are asking.
But again, where is the weight? Is it weight toward the previous knowledge or the new knowledge?
The new
if
knowledge.
You want to change it, you can achieve that.
So as you remember, I give one example, right? 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. Okay, 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. That is the information I instructed it. But it has knowledge that 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. What was the response?
Perfect.
Yeah, so what it take because it's the recent information or the latest instruction. But you can instruct it because I don't have a clear answer where it will go. Based on the use case, it can do multiple things.
there's another thing to add here, which is that certain models are better fine-tuned for instruction following.
Yeah.
So a raw model might not be as good for following instructions like this. But most of these kind of generic models are good for instruction following.
Like, for example, these are generic models, right? If you want to create a code, you just say create a Python script for this type of thing, or create an SQL. I don't know how to write SQL. Write an SQL for this part. Okay, it will create that instruction. Now, where this SQL is coming from, because it has taken all the GitHub kind of repositories, it have understand that these are the main things. It has read books and it can respond to you. Now, if there is a new pattern or a new design pattern which says that this should be done in this way, it will not know until you train it on. Okay, so the answer is completed. It took a while, but just to show the example. Okay.
And sometimes it does end up using its internal knowledge. That's why you get hallucinations sometimes, right? So
yeah.
It answers based on maybe the data that it was trained on was a certain type of policy. That's why you get some answers that are not necessarily what you wanted.
Yeah. So if you see here, I've asked the question, what is the LLM models? Okay. Now it has responded back with this embedding models, chat and completion models. Now you can say that here, well, what if it is coming from its own memory, right? It has given some references. If you see this citation, this is coming from the knowledge that we have provided. Okay, it's giving you the document reference. That these are the documents from where I have taken this. Okay, and then you can justify whether this is the correct answer or not, whether you need more prompt tuning or you know more like restricting it or changing the prompts and things like that. You can do multiple things accordingly. Okay, questions till now? Yeah.
Again, how is this returned like from an API? So what does the API response look like when you have references like that?
Well, great question. So the API response is what is in here. Okay. So if you see here, this is exactly the same question I asked. Okay. And if you see here, it will return a JSON document like this. These are the first, the content, the citation, and the information, and things like that. It will just give you the information. You can actually stream the results as well. It will just write like line, or you can just once it's complete, it can respond accordingly as well.
Is there a way for us to match the citation to a bit in the text?
Yeah, the citation sometimes, like with the newer models, usually work because when you retrieve the information, it will tell you like these are the information. But if you have a larger document and you just say from which page it's coming, it's usually not coming up all the time accurate. Okay, but it will, because consider the citation is coming from the RAG pattern or the retrieval part. What documents have you retrieved? And then based on that, you can respond. Okay, there are a few things which you should be aware of. Okay, if I go back in here, I was talking about like if I just say, please translate the last response in Arabic. Okay, I'm just trying it out. I don't know. I'll usually try this and let's see what results it's giving. Okay, I'm just giving it some other instruction, and let's see if it will respond back or not. Okay, it will take a while, but let's see. The Arabic might not be as good. It might be like my Arabic I'm learning, but yeah, it responded right. So the information is that how would it know what is the previous question, what is the things, where is this coming from? Like how would I say that please translate the last response in Arabic? How would it know what is the last response? History. Okay. So when you are asking something, the chat completion, whenever you are doing a chat, it has a particular context. Okay. So when the context is there, okay, the model in itself doesn't know anything. It doesn't know about previous question. So you have to send the previous questions as part of the new question. And how many questions you need to send? That is based on the use case, because it's again on the token size as well. Okay, the 8,000 token limits on the embedding side. For the completion side, it's a bit larger. It's 32,000 tokens. Okay, we can discuss 32,000, 18,000, 8,000. There is different thing, but at least you get the and where do you set it? Okay, in this parameter you can see here. Okay, the past message is included. Okay, it says last 10 questions. So the last question answer peer. Okay, so the question and the answer, these are all combining together. Okay, if you just say no, I don't want 10, I just want 3, so you can understand it accordingly. Okay, so just giving you some of these parameters so you understand exactly where to play with it, how the history will be sent and things like that. So if you are doing in the playground, you can play with it. Okay, more questions? Okay.
The past message included. If I make it 3 or 10 or 20, what's the difference? What's the impact?
Sorry, can you say again?
For the past message is included.
Yeah.
If I made it 3, 10, 20, what's the impact?
Yeah. So the impact is that, for example, you have to balance it out. Whether you are trying to get more context to the question. That, for example, if you just say, okay, your question started, okay, how to where to find driving schools in Qatar. Okay, that's your first question. The next thing is I had an accident. Okay, this is the next question. Okay, the third question is, what is the contact number? Are you asking about the contact number of the hospital, or are you asking about the contact center, like the contact number of the driving school? Okay, probably the most recent one will be the most or the relevant one, right? That you had got forbidden accident and you're asking for a hospital number. Okay, so based on the history or your context, you need to decide how much tokens or how much questions you want to send. Okay, but the most recent one will matter. Okay, the most recent one will matter. And also when you are sending the data, these questions, it also matters. Like Fatma explained, how you actually send the prompt. Okay, and again, I'll go here. Okay, just to show you the context. If I go here and I just say view code, I think maybe Abdul Rahman can help me. He's gone.
Should I do show JSON?
This one, no. I'm not showing the view code. Yeah, here. Yeah. Okay. So here, this is the code. If you want to then do it, how it's doing it. Okay. So we said that the first question, the persona that you are defining. Okay. That's a system role that you are accessing, telling the algorithm how to behave. The user is, what is the first question? Who is here? This, you remember, this was the first question I asked. So the user asking this question and how the algorithm is responding, this is responding like this. Okay. And then this is one set of questions. This is the other question. Then I asked, what are the LLM models supported by? This was the second question. This was the response. This is the third question. This is the response. And how many questions? Because this is the total history that I have. Okay. Now you can also say that, for example, this one is the older one. Okay. This is the latest one. The latest one matters. Okay. Now, if you reverse this order, okay, and you ask a question, it will probably respond on this one because the most recent one matters. Okay. So this is based on your use case. Which parameters to do, these are the fine like tuning of the models, or in the use case you can do it accordingly.
Cost as well, because when you're sending all of these tokens to the LLM, so if this cost is something of your concern, and also performance, because you're sending like such a large context there, so it will take some time to process and respond. So these are all factors you need to think about in deciding what's the history side.
Yeah, there are a few things I want to mention as well. We have half an hour, right, Fadeh? We have, yeah. So consider that this is another probably advanced concept for newcomers, but not advanced for people who have already worked with. As you know that the ChatGPT, when it opened, it doesn't have any type of restriction. Okay, it will give you a harmful response. It can give you like a response which you think should not be appropriate. Okay. But for in corporate, or like when you are in a work environment, you want to restrict how it should respond. Okay. So you can have this kind of inputs as well. Okay. If there is something violence or hate or harm or anything like that, you can just restrict it accordingly. If somebody is asking this question or the content has this one, I don't want to respond. Okay. So you can restrict it accordingly. You set these parameters based on your use case. The default one is usually in the middle. Okay. But if you just say, no, I'm creating a game as an example. And the game information can be anything, right? Like you can ask a stupid question as well. So you allow that, okay, it's low. I don't want to, it's not harmful question as such. If I just say, I've killed my friend as an example, okay? It doesn't mean that it's in the game context, okay? So that is not a harmful question. But in actual scenario, you want to restrict it because this should not be coming in a corporate environment. So what you should be doing it, you should be playing with this and just applying it accordingly. So the output is restricted by the model. Okay. Is this concept clear as well? Okay. I'll ask again one thing. Okay. Probably the people who are attended the first session. Okay. And I'll give you this one swag first. If you remember, we discussed about embedding models. Okay. Embedding models, I said the default vector size is 1536. Okay. And I'll just say that by research, you can have it less. Okay. But you can have it more as well. In which cases you will require a more higher dimension, let's say 3000 vector size. Why would you require that?
Someone else answer first.
If anyone else wants to do it, please. Abdul Rahman is already genius, so yeah. You want to give it a try? Yeah, maybe you.
It's a bigger search space, so you might have a bigger variety of things to look through.
Yeah.
You might have like, a billion documents and you want like very specific niches.
So there are a few things in there. Right, we discussed that. One is that research shows that, for example, you can reduce the vector size, okay, and in 90% of the cases, you still respond accurately, okay. But in a lot of cases, or in some cases, might be that you want to retain your use cases such that you want to retain more features or more information in the vector itself. because the lesser the vector, the lesser the dimension, the lesser the space will be. But if you have a higher dimension, it might be retaining more information. Okay, so that's why you might require it. But the disadvantage is that you might spend more time on the compute cycle. For smaller use case, it doesn't matter that much, but when you have a lot of data, everything counts. You want to know how much, how quickly I can retrieve this information, how quickly I can match. So the larger the dimension, the more time it will take to do a cosine similarity. Okay, and that's why you reduce it. So let me go back in here. Okay, I'll just give a few concepts, a few more. Okay, if you are, there are a few things in here. Okay, we are usually doing interactive sessions with the model, but a lot of time to save cost, you would also require a batch type of mechanism. Consider that you have a call history, or let's say videos or images or anything like that for let's say you are doing summarization on your call center data as an example. Okay, you have 1 year worth of history and you want to summarize it all. You will not sit on the console and do one by one and one by one, because it's a bit expensive as well if you're doing a lot of these things. So you can define a batch. Okay, the batch will run at night time, consider when the computes are available, and you will have a cheaper model. You will not be charged that much, so you can do it as a batch. Okay, the other thing which we discussed in here. Okay, this is for people who are working on this, right? But just to understand the concept.
What kind of batch jobs are available? As in, we can use any model?
I think so. I'll check, but I think good question. I don't have, I think all the models will be available. The batches is usually like if you're doing summarization and you have, let's say, 1 billion files. Okay, you just run it at night and it will just do the output. You just save the output accordingly. But the model in a batch will be much cheaper than the interactive model. Okay, you can still call the interactive model, but you would like to pay less. So probably it will be like 3 to 4x cheaper, I think. Okay.
Just the GPT models for now.
Yeah, GPT model. Thank you for that. So the other thing which I wanted to highlight, okay, I don't know how many of you have actually played with it, but I've actually started this recently as well. Okay, so we have introduced a new concept, probably not new, but maybe people who are new to it. Okay, we have added like the if you go here and search for AI, Azure OpenAI. Okay, this is one API that you can directly spin up. Okay, but you can actually now, without this, you can actually create the AI service, which will have all the models. Okay, and then you create an AI Studio project. Okay, so when you create this, okay, consider that you go to the AI Studio. Okay, I'll go to the studio. You can then create it as a project. So for example, you define multiple projects. You have, let's say, multiple companies working with your organization. Okay, you can create one of this interface. You create multiple multiple projects, project 1, project 2, project 3, assign different resources accordingly, and then you just say that they are all sharing the same model. Okay, so rather than creating a separate instance for each or every one, you can use this as well. Okay, so in the after 2 weeks, with the architecture we will build will include this as well. So people who are now in the production scenario, or they are working with the partners or customers, this will probably help as well.
And when you delete the project, will it delete the resources that are?
I think it will just delete that not the model, because it will probably, like, the model is shared between all the projects.
What about the resources?
The resources in there as such, there are no resources as such. Like if you see here, okay, consider that you want to just give access to a particular model, okay, and you want to assign resources accordingly. But if you have created like the prompt flows and things like that, of course, if you delete that project, it will go away. But the prompt flow, I have not introduced it explicitly from my side because it's a bit different. But essentially, it's a visual type of programming that you can do, and you can complete the program accordingly.
Also Python library
Yeah.
for those of you who want to install.
Okay.
Install.
Yeah. So I'll just give a few examples more, since we have a few, time. Okay. These are some of the use cases which we talk about. Okay. Chat completion, that you are asking for some information, it will complete that. Summarization, that you have a large document or email and you want to summarize it, it will summarize that. Content generation, like for example, we usually generate new content. You are writing a blog or write a new email to your manager with a particular context, you can generate that emails as well. Okay. And the reasoning and insights. Okay, if you want to do another language, for example, if I go here, I'm just opening this in as an example. Okay, I think it's on a Postgres, but let's see how it works. Okay, so I'm just going to select the models this, and it says that Postgres SQL table with their property. There are three tables: employee, department, and salary. Simple table. Okay, and then it's just a query a table with a name. So I'll just say select all employees whose salary is below 8,000. Okay, so if you don't, if you are using SQL in day to day, it will be very easy. But if you are new, right, you are a business and you don't know, somebody have given you a database, you don't know what to write a query, you can ask the question, select this, paste it in the system. Okay, consider that you are also asking a question on your structured data. Now, the structured data, either you have to bring all your data, okay, from the database into the prompt. Okay, because if you're just saying aggregate all the data, how many employees do you have? Okay, you might have 1 million employees. Either you have to aggregate it with a query or bring all the data to the memory and then ask it to summarize it. Okay, so the best way will be that you just first give the schema of your database, ask the query, and then send it to the model or the database to reply back to the answer. Okay, so you can take this one, put it on the database, and it will reply. People who are on understand SQL, it's very simple. Select all the fields from employee, the join column, and then it's putting an amount. Okay, so if you are creating some a model for your business user who don't know how to write SQL, you can give that.
And this is also another example of a good prompt technique. So you see over there, they ended the prompt with select, sort of guiding the model to start with the select statement. So this is also a trick.
Yeah, I'll give you a few other examples.
I'm not sure if this will be now a session, but can it also call an API and connect directly to SQL? And instead of me copying and pasting it, management.
So good question. Okay, there is a functionality, but I don't know whether that is for this kind of automatic thing. Okay, yeah. So if you see this, the assistant part, there is an API calls, but I'm not sure whether it will be the call for the query that you can send directly to SQL or not. Okay, I'll check it and come back to you.
We could,
okay.
You could one thing, and then we'll get back to you with more details. But so as you can see here in the assistant, you have the tools. So you can give it the tool, like you can give it different tools, a tool to call an API, a tool to generate a query, a tool to do a Bing search. So you can give it these tools, and then your AI could ask like an agent. You're like, okay, you're such a so-and-so, and you have access to all these tools. Given this question, decide which tool to use, and then it will run that tool programmatically, get the relevant context, and then it will answer your question. So it is you can use with
as Microsoft, we are trying to release the co-pilots within each and every product. So if you have SQL, probably in some time you will automatically get that you will ask the question, it will just respond to you in natural language rather than SQL. Okay. Now this is another example. Consider that you are getting some maybe information from customers, emails and things like that. Okay. So this is the conversation between a user and an agent. Okay, in a chat history. And you want to identify what is the main customer problem, like the call center scenario that we talk about. What is the outcome of the conversation? What is the customer budget, the departure city, and things like that? I think it's related to like a flight booking. So consider like you are an airline, and the airline is you are talking and you just like trying to book the information. So the call is recorded. And if I just open this, okay, and let me see if I can clear this. Okay. Generate. Okay, let's see what. Okay. So it has taken like we have just given that, for example, generate a summary of the below conversation in the following format. Okay, the format can be even like a JSON document that you can do. Okay, a customer problem. Okay, it's just so consider that you are just summarizing the information. You already know what is the customer problem, what is the outcome, what is the customer budget, what is the city of departure, and where it's the customer is going. So you can do a lot of this innovation stuff with these models because previously it was very difficult to do it. You have to do a lot of your own machine learning models, but now it's doing all this out of the box. Yeah.
So this kind of specialization that we are making the model do. So when we look at it on a top-down level, that it is still a GPT 4.0, right? So when we pass in some other kind of prompt, let's say I want to search something else apart from what specialization I've given to the bot, then in that case it will return it from its own code, own context, right?
Yes. So everything matters, right? Like we discussed, when you are designing something, you will have a particular context.
Right.
Okay. So you define your own prompts in that case. Okay. If I remove this part, okay, the model is generic. You just send the instruction accordingly. So if you are using the same model for multiple use cases, all you need to do is just in the programmatically, you need to change which prompt to send to this one. Okay. So consider that you have like the model, and the model you have created, let's say 5 different persona. One is for HR, one is for, let's say, the travel agent, one is for this, one is for that, and you have multiple contexts. The first thing is based on the user question, you identify the intent. What is the intention of that user? Okay. And then you identify which of these 4 scenarios it can cover. So once you define that, you can just delegate that control to that agent, and that agent will get to the next part. So you can do this kind of chaining. First, identify the intent, whether it's an internal user, external user, whether it's asking about the city or it's asking a generic question, and then you just pass the prompt according to the model. So as far as you change this information, it will change accordingly.
So recently, I saw a really funny post and even tried it out about a car company. They had a chatbot,
okay,
and it was specifically to give you details about the car models that they have. But someone like asked to write a code in to find some prime number or something like that, and it returned the code. It was like simply integrating ChatGPT to this. So that's what I was wondering. Like if I put this kind of a context and if I roll it out in production in my in any of my applications, so will it have this kind of generalization, and can I block it?
Very good question. Okay. The main thing is that there will be always hallucination. Hallucination is that it can come from its memory, right? Like you can trick it. But the most trigger the prompt, okay, you can instruct it, you can do multiple information out. It will probably not go out of context, or at least 90%, okay, or 99%. The main thing is that whether you are intentionally breaking it or you are doing something else, okay. Like I have seen scenario in which the customer 99% of the time, all the question that they have will be there, but they want to intentionally break it. Now, intentionally breaking is 2 scenarios. Either, like, for example, it's a valid scenario that consider you are a reputable company, and you don't want that someone can take a picture and tweet it that their technology is not. Okay, that's a bad reputation. Okay, but the other thing is also whether there is an advantage of using this as well or not. Okay, like for example, I can restrict it to any stupid question not to respond. Okay, and I have another customer who said, now, whenever I'm asking any question, it says I don't have a context or I don't have knowledge. Then you have to balance out where you want to do. Like it's a bit tricky. Like in the AI models, there is always some kind of interpretation or hallucination. That's why there should be a human interpretation, and you need to log it and try to find out what is happening. So you can retain it or adjust it accordingly. Okay, I'll just show a few other examples because we have 15 minutes. We will finish in 5 more minutes. Okay, I'll just give one example if I can see here. Which one? I was looking for the images one. Images or videos? Let me check. So this if you attended a session I delivered in the AI Summit as well. This actually consider that you take a pictures and you just say the AI model to combine it. This is all like static images and the video is created from that. Okay. So if you are like listing your property and you don't have time to create video, you can just take images and it will combine the story accordingly. So just giving like the whole. Sorry. So consider that you have images. Okay. The images you want to combine that as a video. Okay, from static images, this is created. So that's what I'm saying. You take static images, and then it can just create video out of it. So it can a lot like you are just, let's say, in a project or something, and you want to do something quicker. You just take a few videos, and every scene is there, then it will create a video out of it. So you can just post your site. So consider like Qatar Living or things like that. You have posting, and rather than spending time on creating videos, it can automatically do it for you.
It working around Dolly?
That yes, it use that as well. But there is different models. So I'm just trying to give the details to you, so you have all these things. Questions before we go for pizza, or Fateh give us some more food.
But how does it know where to plan?
Like generate
Sorry?
like
Given the video, the person is taking like continuous shots, right? He's walking and he's taking the video shots. But how does the AI model know like
Which very good question. I haven't like explored that in that detail, because like usually my customers are not working on, but I'll check and let you know. Okay, I'll get back.
software which actually photographers or videographers use, where it will have depth information and everything. So using that, it knows like which exact point it has to go for. So using that, it will track. But I don't know how. Yeah, like,
Sure, I'll check that. I also don't have all the details. I haven't checked it. I just use it for demos. But once like a customer usually asks a scenario, then I'll discuss. Okay, I'll just use one. Let me check if this is. And please do give your feedback, okay? Like if you like the session, just tell us. If you don't like the session, please tell us as well. If you don't like the session, tell us personally to us. If you like the session, just do it on the LinkedIn. But yeah, if you don't like the session, you can tell the boss, Fateh, that we want to do these changes, and we can do accordingly. But I hope to that you like the session. What we will do is I'll again recommend you continue with this journey. Okay, if you cannot come physically, maybe do the live video, and hopefully we'll have more sessions as well. Okay, Father, do you have any questions, or you want to ask any questions, so I can give this back to someone?